The pictures are pictures. I am one of the people who has seen these pictures, and these are pictures that Jeffrey Epstein would take out of his safe.
Let's take stock of where we are in the country very briefly before I get to this. We're in a situation where the President of the United States has been credibly accused of abusing children, with his decade-and-a-half-long best friend, a convicted pedophile, trafficker, sex trafficker of children. He's floating pardoning that particular Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficker, considering pardoning that person's co-conspirator in the crime, Ghislaine Maxwell. And there has now been accusations, charges, claims that there are photos of Donald Trump, clothed Donald Trump, thankfully, with an assortment, a number of half-naked young women, girls. We don't know because we haven't seen the photos. That's where we are in the United States of America right now. And I want to remind you of what took place the other day during the oversight hearing of the Senate Judiciary Committee, having Pam Bondi, the Attorney General there, when Sheldon Whitehouse, senator from Rhode Island, made this claim, asked the question, does the FBI have possession of these photos, and have you seen them? If they do. Now, I want to remind you that her answer was not an answer. It was just a series of pre-formulated, pre-canned remarks, attacks on the senator, rather than actually answering the question. And then I'm going to get to video of Michael Wolff, the Trump biographer, the prolific writer who, up to this point, I can't point to anything he's been wrong about it, but all of the wild claims that he's made have turned out to be true. This guy, you can say what you will about him, doesn't seem to be a liar to me. First, let's start with Sheldon Whitehouse. Just the other day, as a reminder, there'll be a timer on the clip. You can see it. If you've already seen it, you don't want to be reminded, you can skip ahead and we'll move on.
Let me ask you something else. There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs in their search of Jeffrey Epstein's safe or premises or otherwise? Have you seen any such thing?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe, I could be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
The question is, did the FBI find those photographs that have been discussed publicly by a witness who claimed Jeffrey Epstein showed them to him? You don't know anything about that. Okay.
So that is the depressing state of the United States of America right now, that we have seen fit as a people to elect this absolute degenerate as president of the United States. So here's where we are now. Yesterday, Michael Wolff appeared on the Daily Beast podcast. I believe the name of it's Inside of Trump's Head or something like that. And again, up to this point, spot on. He's batting 1,000 up to this point. He claims he's seen the photos. He describes in the clip I'm getting ready to play for you the photos. Now, it took him a long time to get. They really stretched it out while talking about it on the podcast. But I've kind of condensed the information that I think is the most important here. And it is Donald Trump with a number of topless young women. He doesn't know their ages, but he emphasizes young women, and then he goes, they were young. And this is where we are in the United States right now. Watch this.
But let's just go back and let me just say, because what they're talking about, the pictures.
Yep.
The pictures are pictures. I am one of the people who has seen these pictures, and these are pictures that Jeffrey Epstein would take out of his safe and kind of display on his dining room table, almost as you would playing cards. This amused him to have these pictures.
Okay, so Michael, I want you to set the scene for us.
But then our conversation rolled on into starting in 2015 and then into 2016, when Trump became what many people obviously were talking about because he was running for president. But Epstein was particularly focused because he and Trump had been the closest of friends for more than a decade. And Epstein fancied himself a real Trump whisperer, that he understood Donald Trump. And in my experience, he was one of the more insightful people about Trump. And I have spoken to a lot of people about Donald Trump. But at any rate, in the course of one of these discussions about Trump, he left the room and then came back holding in his hands about a dozen Polaroid snapshots.
Oh, they're Polaroids. They're Polaroids.
Well, in my mind, they're Polaroid. I'm not 100% sure that they were, but they had those crenellated edges like a Polaroid. That's in my, as I say, in my mind, these are Polaroids, but they certainly are snapshots. And then he kind of like a deck of cards, kind of displayed them on the table. And there were specifically three that I remember, and this is now almost 10 years ago. So, but the three that I remember are two in which topless young women, and I don't know the ages of these women, but they are young, are sitting in Trump's lap. And this is outside Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach around the swimming pool.
Okay. And is Trump dressed? Is he what?
Trump is dressed, and in mind's eye, it's kind of golfy,
right? Golf leisure wear
attire. But
right.
And then in the third picture, there is, and so he's wearing light pants. There is or tannish pants, and there's a stain on the front of his trousers, and the girls, four or five, as I remember, are pointing at the stain and laughing. And that is what I remember. And then Epstein would have returned these pictures to the safe, because I actually asked him, where do you keep these pictures? And he said in the safe. And later, when Trump was elected president, and I tried to encourage Epstein to do something with these pictures, and he said, I can't now. I may be such and such, but I'm not crazy. Implying that he had some reason to fear the wrath of Donald Trump.
And even in that clip, he's intimating that Jeffrey Epstein was afraid of what could come. And where's Jeffrey Epstein now? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't know if Jeffrey Epstein killed himself or was killed by nefarious forces. Well, there's certainly a lot of questions that are valid and reasonable. Speculation might they be, but I don't know. I do know that among the people that I trust and among the people I don't trust, if we're looking at Michael Wolff or Donald Trump, Trump's in the don't trust category, and Michael Wolff would be somebody that I do trust and believe until otherwise proven. What are we going to do here as a nation? We got the midterms coming up. We have an opportunity to change the makeup of who runs the country, to actually hold Donald Trump accountable through impeachment and removal in the Senate. But it's going to take our participation as an electorate to stand up and say, no more. This isn't about policy debate on taxation. This isn't about who runs the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is about our soul as a country, as a republic. Who are we going to choose to lead us? I think the question and the answer is self-evident. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it in the comments below the video, wherever you're watching it, Facebook or YouTube. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. Thanks for being here. I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine and take care of one another. The headlines obviously talked about the passing of Trump's big, beautiful bill. But did you catch what the headlines did not make note of? This same beautiful bill hands over nearly 40 billion of our tax dollars to ICE per year. This is more money than most countries spend on their entire military. And we're granting it to our version of the secret police. Despite raids on the increase and Trump's near constant mention of deporting U.S. citizens, much of our mainstream media has avoided talking about this funding increase. Or worse, they have twisted the bill's language to frame this spending as good for the citizens of the United States. This should be the biggest story in America right now, and it's not. And look, you'd be naive to think that this is anything other than by design from the GOP. Tools like ground news are an essential part of your news consumption for examples just like this. By gathering the world's news in one place, organizing it by story, and then analyzing just how far right, how radical each unbiased source actually is, ground news will expose blind spots like this ICE funding, and it will give you more context than you can get anywhere else. Shouldn't we be learning from history? We have seen Trump's playbook before, and the comparisons to regimes of misinformation and terror are alarmingly plentiful. Ground news will help you stay ahead on immigration, the economy, or simply bring your attention to stories missing from your newsfeed. Both Ground News' app and their website are smarter, more reliable ways to access the news unfiltered, to stay informed in the face of MAGA wanting to keep us in the dark. Scan this QR code or head to ground.news/Dollemore now to score 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use, which gives you unlimited access for just $5 per month. Or simply click the link in the description below to begin saving big. The right is absolutely banking on you to be uninformed. Stay ahead and see all the news with Ground News.